Good morning. Sensei Mish here with Morning Tea with me. How are you all? It is Friday, um, whatever day it is. Let me look. Let me look at the time. January 20th. So uh, we are most of the way through January already, which is absolutely incredible. Um, as you log on, say hi, just like Rob. He knows the drill. Hey, how's it going, man? Um, so, uh, yeah, today has actually been a somewhat productive week. I got some reading done, not in the order that I was thinking, but I did do some reading. We'll talk about that, and then watch some Star Wars. And I don't know if you've had a chance to see it yet, but The Last of Me, the first episode, is on HBO Max, and it was absolutely amazing. um, so let's see where to start. Um, let's just talk about what I've been reading. So one of the let's see. Oh no. Oh, I know the drill. Don't forget. If you're new to the channel, hit the like and subscribe on YouTube or heart on Facebook. Yes. So also one of the things uh share this. Like if you're actually like share this stream. Um I mean it is going out to the public on my personal Facebook page, but please share the stream. And then and then when you have shared it, just throw in a hashtag shared just so I can see it. And I don't know if I'll be giving anything away, but I mean, it's usually Rob that hangs out for the entire time anyway. So he might just win just everything that if I ever give shit away. But check this out. So, yeah, Last of Us, my weekend watch. So, have you seen episode? I mean, it comes out on Sunday. So have you seen episode one yet? Because it was blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. I'm getting Bram just sent me a thing. So it was funny because I was reminded of it last Sunday from a one of the guys. Oh, okay. No, but played the games and hyped to watch it tomorrow and Sunday. Yeah, so I go to Dutch a lot. Actually, I have really cut back on my Dutch. So but I go there and I see Xander. Um he's got it. He's actually to call him out. He actually on Twitter, not Twitter, not Twitter, on TikTok, or as I like to call it, Tickety Talk, Tiki Talk. So I think he's at the real Professor X. Anyway, so he's a big guy on there, but he works at Dutch. Known him for years. Great guy. Big comic book fan. He's actually suggested different things I should read, and so it's one of those where I'm like, uh, uh, I highly suggest anything he tells me. I highly suggest that you watch. So, so one of those things is what is it? I'm sorry, I just got a phone call. I should really just turn this off, really, just so I don't get distracted. Um, but he's like, oh, hey, he's telling me about The Last of Us, and uh, I'm just like, oh well, okay, like I had seen a trailer, but he was basically reminding me, and he told me that it was part of the video game, and I didn't know that at the time, but then I remembered, because I remember like there was a special PS3 box set that you would get. You know, you get the PS3 and you get the first game, the Last of Us version, you know, part 1. And so I was like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, with Pedro Pascal, and he's like, yeah, it premieres tonight. And I'm just like, seriously, it premieres tonight? He's like, yeah. So so we watched, you know, that was on Sunday. And so you know, my wife and I watched it, and I just thought it was amazing. It's funny because you have Pedro Pascal and this little girl. Now, I've never played the games, so I know it's a video game, and that's about it. I really like the aspect of the zombies being fungi based. So I'm just, yeah, I like that fact. So, and I just, yeah, I just think it's really cool. So, because it's a totally different take. So anyway, I thought it was funny though. Here you have Pedro Pascal and a young child who is his, like, you know, I know he's escorting her somewhere, but it's like, we basically have the Mandalorian and the child, but in a different universe. And the child is some, you know, young kid. So I just thought that was, I thought that was humorous. And even when I watched the trailer, the first trailer, I just was humorous. It's like, is like, if you guys have seen Prospector, and let me just get the movie straight. It's Pedro Pascal. It was an indie film, an amazing. It's just called Prospect. Prospect. It was came out in 2018. Yeah, just great film. Unfortunately, like, it wasn't mainstream, it was totally indie. I bought it on iTunes as soon as it was available, because I didn't know if it was actually going to show, and I wanted to, you know, all the previews, I wanted to see it. And then what is it? And then it actually showed locally here in Vancouver, and it was on a day that I totally couldn't go. Like, it was, yeah. So I unfortunately I didn't get to see it in the theaters, but it's a great movie. So if you have not seen Prospect, you have to go watch it. But again, it is him and a child. So is Pedro Pascal being typecast as a father figure ish to go with a child? I don't know. Now, of course, that all comes up because the new trailer for Mandalorian dropped, giving it a date of March 1st, which I figured it was probably going to come out sometime in March, but just like, I'm excited. Like, it looks really, really good. So I'm really looking forward to that. Everyone steals from Lone Wolf and Cub. Yeah, but this is his, to my knowledge, this is his third role though, in that, you know, in that type of setting. So I don't know. I'm just me. Now, so yeah, that was a great episode. what is it? Since we're talking Star Wars, Bad Batch. It was a fun episode. Like the previous episode was probably the best episode they've ever done. But at least Bad Batch wise. But this last Wednesday's episode, it was just one of those lighthearted, fun episodes. Now it's funny because as I'm watching, I'm hearing voices. I'm like, oh, well, that voice kind of sounds familiar. And I had never done, I never really looked at who does the voices for Bad Batch. And I realized that Rhea Perlman actually does the voice for, what the green lizard lady. I can't remember the character's name. Let's see. Sid. And for those of you who don't know, Rhea, yeah, thank you, Sid. Rhea Perlman, I don't know what she's done recently, but I know her, and this is kind of showing my age. I know her from Cheers. She was the waitress on Cheers. So I guess that's really, really showing my age. But so that was, it wasn't a bad episode either. It was just like one of those fun little episodes. But we have, so really when we look at the calendar, we've got, I've been planning stuff out, so I got to scroll through my calendar. So we have, let's see. So what is it? So we have Picard season 3 coming out on the 16th. So we are 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks away. We've got basically a month until Picard starts. And then we've got 2 weeks after that, Mandalorian season 3 starts. So getting some stuff in there that, so I'm really looking forward to the end of February and beginning of March. Because potentially we have 3 really good shows that will be going on at the same time. So kind of excited about that. Now, on to some books I've been reading. Now, I actually brought these books. So I was inspired to read this. We talked about my inspiration of reading, where I get inspiration from reading and suggestions and all that kind of stuff. So I had read, or really listened to, but I read Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights. Great book. Really enjoyed it. And he talked about how he had picked up this book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. And he read it, and there's supposed to be these inspirational scrolls that I was like, oh, well, okay, this had an effect on his life. So let me see about it. So I go on to Amazon, and there's this, and then there's part 2. And, the books are a couple bucks a piece. So I'm like, oh, I'll just pick them up. So I got both of them. I mean, this, the first, this one is only like 111 pages, I think. Yeah, the story is only 111 pages long. So it's a quick read. I read it in a day. Okay. The scrolls are very, very cool. And it's not a bad book. I mean, and it's kind of funny because it takes place in the Middle East. There's lots of talk of Jerusalem and what is it called? shoot, what's it called? Bethlehem, and I can't read. There's this other place starts with an N. Anyway, so it's all kind of taking a place, and then Damascus, but it's all taking place in that time. And so as I'm reading this story, this kid goes to his master and says, "Master, I don't, he's a what is it, a camel boy." So he says, "Hey, I need to, I want to be the greatest salesman in the world. You're super rich and a good salesman and a good human. I want to be like you." And so, his master's like, "Okay, well, I want you to take this cloak, and this is, it's like one of the finest cloaks you can make." And he says, "I'm going to give it to you for free. I want you to go to Bethlehem, and I want you to sell this one cloak." And he says, I'll put a credit down, one piece of silver on your thing. So when you sell it for whatever you want, and then you come back and you pay the silver, and then we'll go." So kid goes to Bethlehem, tries to sell it, and is really, he just sucks at it, just not doing a very good job, failure after failure. And he decides, okay, well, I can't afford to sleep in the hotel tonight, so I'm just going to go sleep out near my donkey in the cave. So he goes out to this donkey in the cave, and there's a couple there, and they have a baby, and the baby's cold, or they've got their tattered cloaks covering the baby, and it's like, and so he takes pity and just takes this cloak and selflessly just covers the baby with the cloak, and then just is like, you know what, because his whole intent was to get up the next morning and start again, but feeling sorry for this couple, he gives them the cloak. And he's like, you know what, I've given the cloak, so there's no point in staying. I'm just going to leave right now. And so he goes outside, and there's this huge bright star in the sky. And me, being the great theologian that I am, thank you for, almost a decade of Catholic school, I'm instantly getting this feeling that this is going to be a religious story, because Bethlehem, baby, star, like, for me, it's all adding up. So there's so he goes to his master, and his master's like, "Oh, tell me of how you tell me of your adventure and all this kind of stuff." And he's like, "Look, I had a really hard time. I failed you, but I gave it away, and this is the situation." Well, his master was the holder of these scrolls, and he was told that there would be a sign of who he would pass the scrolls on to, because he had to keep those secret, and he had to pass it on to only one person. So this bright star in the sky, master sees it, prodigal son returns. So he's like, he's like, I'm gonna, and so he tells him, you haven't, what is it? You haven't failed. So you haven't failed. Like, he was being selfless. He hasn't failed. Now, I underlined, and I can't remember where I underlined it, but I did write it down, because, this is supposed, like, a lot of when it, to kind of get off the story, like, at last, a book on sales and salesmanship that can be read and enjoyed by veteran and recruits alike. Every sales manager should read The Greatest Salesman in the World. Like this is like people are talking about this. This is still, like, millions of copies have been sold. It's been translated. So it's like this huge inspirational book. So I actually wrote this down, and I'll tell you why. So the one of the things that the master says to the kid, he says, and I changed it a little bit, just because it's kind of a mantra, but it says, never feel shame for trying and failing, for he who has never failed is he who has never tried. And I'm like, oh, very wise words. Just, and because even he's like, well, before you gave the cloak away, you have had all this failure, you've had all this, unsuccessful sales. Why would you go out there again? He goes, well, just because I hadn't tried A, B, C, D, So anyway, so he gets these scrolls, and then, on his master's deathbed, which is only like a week later, he gets these scrolls, and then the book goes into the scroll. So, the next chapter is the scroll, and just a great, like, it is truly like, I love the way that these are set up, because it is like a mantra. It is. Let's see, let's get to the first. Let's see, where's the first scroll mark 2. So in the story, it's basically, you have to read the first scroll, because the first scroll is how you will work the other scrolls. But the way the scrolls read is it's like positive affirmations. I mean, it starts out, today I will begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which hath too long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there is fruit for all. Today I will pluck, I. And each scroll is like that. Fantastic. I dug it. I dug it until I got to the last scroll. Until I got to the last scroll. Because for those who know me, even though I might be a spiritual person, I am not a religious person. And so the last scroll is a prayer to God. And, love me or hate me, I'm not really into that. And so, like, the first scrolls are just amazing, and then it lost me. But I was like, okay, well, it's just, it's a book. I'm just going to read I'm going to read the book. So I finished that, because I was really looking at it as like things to get me motivated, and like, what are, and because I digging the scrolls until the last one, but that's okay. So then the last chapter, Paul. So if anybody has read the if anybody has read the Bible or understands the Bible or knows that the book of Paul, which are really letters, Paul was or maybe there's not the book of Paul, but Paul has written letters to like the Colossians. It's been a while, but anyway, so Paul's a big dude in the Bible, very inspirational to spreading the word of Jesus. Anyway, so he shows up at this dude's house. Now, these scrolls basically turn this camel boy into the greatest salesman in the world. But Paul shows up, and a little bit foreshadowing that I totally guessed at the beginning, the baby in the cave with the parents, that was Jesus. Okay, great. I mean, it's a good story. I actually got a lot out of this book. I got a lot out of it. This one continues the story. This is kind of him in his retirement after what he does, after he has been the greatest salesman. He goes out and basically talks about how he is a salesman. and he runs into Paul again and all that kind of stuff. And it, not a bad story. I actually suggest both of these. Now, the part 2, the end of the story, says featuring the 10 vows of success. So so the greatest salesman in the world, and cannot remember the dude's name. Hafid. That's the main character's name. He actually goes on a speaking tour, and then he's encouraged to write his own scrolls, or his own, like, his vows of success. He calls it the vows of success. And so he goes, and so it's basically the story of how he gets to that point, and then does the vows of success. I, again, really like the story. Lots of religious. If I had done any research, this dude writes a lot of religious stuff. So I wasn't turned off by it until I actually got to the vows of success. And it's not that they were religious at all. It's just that they just didn't speak to me. So, but again, I read this in, I think I read this in 2 days, but it was, but I suggest both of them. But I got more out of the first book than I did out of the second book. But it's not a bad story. But it's all around religion, or it's religious based. Now the scrolls, I actually printed these off. I have a copy here that I have on my wall here in my office, and I have one. Basically, I can sit up in bed and I can see it. It's like right there. But so I actually changed the first thing that I said. I said, instead of just saying you should never feel shame, I said, I will never feel shame for trying and failing. For he who has never failed is he who has never tried. And then the scrolls, taking them, some of them paraphrasing it so it's like or that it sounds a little bit better, but I will form good habits and become their slave. I will greet this day with love in my heart. I will persist until I succeed. I am nature's greatest miracle. I live this day as if it was my last. I will laugh at the world. I will multiply my value 100-fold. I will act now. And then, of course, then there's the 10th one that says, I pray, but I don't do that. So, but that, when it comes to positive, getting a positive mindset, I'm actually using, like, I read that every morning. I read it every morning. Even Brandon Beliso, he's encouraged me to, write out what I see as success. And he has his little thing. And it's like, he reads it every day. And he has these, these different things up where, he sees why, to keep his mindset in there. And honestly, I've had a positive mindset all week. And I have, you should see the shit that I've gotten done this week. And it's just little things. Now, I did make a list. I do have a to-do list, but it's like, I'm just I just move through. Yeah. I move through it smoothly. So anyway, I wanted to share that. I have already started. I am, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 chapters in to, Art of War, a entrepreneur's guide, which is actually kind of interesting. He's got, how the Art of War translates to business. And so far, all the businesses that he's really referenced are businesses in the UK, or are in Europe. So, but it's like I don't know. It's actually pretty cool. So like he talks about he does a business translation of the Art of War, and then he actually has you know the actual Art of War, in English, of course, so you can read it. But yeah, it's so far it's a pretty good book. I don't know what I'm going to read after that. I'd like to finish that this weekend. But to move along on some of my book projects, I have I need to do some more reading. So like I've got this one kids book series that I want to start. I found an outline that I put together years and years ago. And then for basically making a kid's version of Karate Do My Way of Life. So, and I think I've talked about it on here before. I think I'm going to call it the Who's That series. And so, the first book I'm trying to take things where it's really easy, like people I know. So, or like, Karate Do My Way Life. It's literally, it's the story about, it's the story of Gich Futokoshi. The stuff that I'm getting from Jim Korn on the book that I'm working with him, I could do one on Jim. I've got a whole list of people that I could do it on, but it's just, getting that first one done, seeing how things will work. Trying to start with the easiest ones first, so then I can get on, so I can start working on what is it? The more difficult ones later, or that the more difficult ones will become easier. So, let's see. Ashton came by the school last night, and we filmed, did some filming. We got, and I'm going to do some more today. Not with him. I do have, I did film some TikToks, based off of my blog. So it's basically me. So I've got a blog, and this is kind of the creating content. Like I wrote a blog, and then what I'll do is I will do TikToks on that blog, like reading it, like story time almost. I had to film them a couple times, because the first time I did it, I just didn't like it. It was, I could tell I was looking at the script too much. And so it was one of those where it's like, okay, I can't look at the script as much as I need to rehearse. And each blog takes about, because I could do one, like I could do one long one, but a lot of people, they've got short attention spans. So, so I'm keeping it to the original 3 minute, like no longer than 3 minutes. Cause I think you can do up to 10 minutes on TikTok now. I don't know. But anyway, so, I shot 2 of those. So there's 6 episodes, 6 things right there. And I can, put them up every couple days. This weekend, I hope with Lisa, I can shoot some more stuff. And then I'm actually going to start taking some of the Kyusho Corner stuff. And after I finish the episode, bringing that down and putting that up on TikTok, but which will also kind of translate to a little bit to Instagram and kind of to Facebook. But anyway, so I've kind of going through that. Ash and I also shot some video that I'm going to take stills from for the book that will probably come out next, which is the Naihanchi Crimp book. And so we've been in modular class. We've been working a lot with the crimp. So looking forward to that. So I've been taking notes. been working on some things. Yeah, it's so funny. Just the 5 entries work so well. They fit so well into Naihanchi. It's not even funny. So, but it's one of those where we filmed the 5 entries just so we can get, hey, these are, this is what the 5 entries are. And then the next step after that will be to actually record. And we didn't record any instruction. So I'm gonna probably record all the instruction in one day, or maybe over a couple sessions, at least, because with that I'll have to do slow motion and then actually teach. And my brain was not in the mode to teach on film yesterday, besides the Crucial Corner episodes. So we're going to save that for a different time. So moving forward on that, really, really looking forward to how that's going to turn out. I'm kind of excited already. But yeah. So things are kind of moving forward on that. Let's see. Oh, dude, there's just so much stuff. But I do have one new student officially, because she started on Saturday. I don't actually count it until it actually happens, but yay. Yay. So that'll be nice. And then just kind of move forward from there. So I've got I had sent out all the stuff to the PTO. I can't remember when I actually sent that out, but they should all have that by yesterday. So hopefully and of course it arrives to the school whenever the PTO people or PTA people check their email or check their actual mail. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I will see some return on that from my letters. And then, and then I actually got an email today saying that my volunteer status has been approved through the Evergreen School District. So I'm not a creeper, just to officially say that, and we'll kind of go from there. And then I also sent out letters to I can't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but doing a focus read, like Brandon Beliso wrote a book on focused around his kids and focusing. And so there's a couple instructors that use that book as school reads. And so I kind of Jason Hayes said, hey, this is a great tool. Use this. And so I kind of wrote up a system, reached out to some of the teachers, and I'm still waiting to hear back. I'm also still waiting to hear back from Boys and Girls Club at Burton. I might be stopping. Will I have time to stop by there today? I think I will have time to stop by there today to check in, because I emailed the lady. I have not heard anything back. And for some reason, email services do not like my email address and send my stuff to junk. So I don't know why that is. But it just is. And I told her that, but hopefully, but I don't have her telephone number. I have her email address. I have her name. So I'll probably stop by the school today and connect with her, because our goal is that Wednesday, the first Wednesday of February, which is actually February 1st, that I would be. And so that's like 2 weeks away. So, or a week and a half away. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, it's like a week and a half away. So I need to be able to know that, yeah, that's okay, because she was going to check, background checks, and, do I need to do one through them or whatever? So do I need to put them on a insurance waiver? So I don't know. So we'll see how that goes, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. So lots of stuff going on. And yeah, I'm trying to get out of like the last couple days. Because for a long time I could not get back into my routine. I would sleep in, or I'd wake up and then I'd look on my phone and I'd go down the rabbit trail, be like, oh, that's a really cool story. Let me watch all 7 parts of it. And so when it comes, like, I totally get sucked into that. So I've, tried to create this habit of not doing that. And so I will form good habits and become their slave. And so a good habit is to, I check my email in the morning and I check my messages, but I don't go on social media, and I go straight upstairs. So, so far right now, I read the first thing when I wake up. I make myself a cup of tea. So this is actually my second cup of tea today. But we, I sit there, I read for about an hour, and then I get into, all the back end office stuff that I need to do for the school. So, like billing and book work and, writing systems and emails and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so there you go. I really don't know, like, what else. Oh yeah, Dojo destroyed one of my enterprises. Like, I had them up here. He got up into the window and actually pushed one of the enterprises down, and a nacelle fell off. So I just want to strangle that damn cat. Just oh, more news. Okay, so I know. Here, it's even behind me. I'll even show you. Look at this. Look. Now, it didn't like break. Like, it actually will fit back in there pretty easy. I just need to, so it'll fit on there. I just need to glue it. That's all. So it's not completely the end of the world. But yeah, let's just say I was not happy. More great news. So this is a new release of The Man Who Never Missed. It is the first book of the Matador series. Okay. Steve Perry, the author, put this out because people were just like, hey, we should have access to your books in paperback. And he was like, why? Like, just, he's like, that's so antiquated. Just read it on Kindle. And everyone's like, and even I was like, look, we have all of your other books in paperback. Like, all of the Matador novels we have in paperback. Any future ones, and he said he would only write one more, which is the last Matador novel. He said that, he's like, okay, well, he says, if I put it out, and even I had suggested, it's like, look, if you're worried about, putting out a book on, through, the self-publishing on Amazon, and want to, price it at $10, and your return isn't that good, then up the price, like, sell the book for more, I mean, if whatever your take home pay, whatever your take home royalty for Kindle is, for the electronic version, price it to whatever, price it so the paperback will be in the same spot. And for those who really, really want a paper copy, they will pay for it. Like, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person that told him that, but it was one of those where he officially announced the last book is ready. It is. I'm so excited. So let me bring. Let's see. Let me do a screen share. Okay, so this is the final book. It actually happens after. It happens after. So if we read everything in order, okay, and I think he actually has. Does he have the order? No, he doesn't. No. Nope. So the kind of like Star Wars episode 4, 5, and 6 came out first. Man Who Never Missed, Matadora, and Machiavelli Interface came out first. I think 85 and 86. I think the other one was 87, but I think it was 86. Anyway, so this is and you can see I bought the paperback, so hopefully it should be coming here soon. But the Kindle is $7 and the paperback is 16. So I bought one, of course. So let's see. I'll view my order. Has it even shipped yet? It hasn't even shipped yet. So I don't know. Now the go back to here. Cancel. Okay. So I don't know why it hasn't shipped yet, because I ordered it like a while ago, and I know he's been doing some updates, so I don't know if I'll get an original print or the newest print, because he just said, oh, hey, here it is, and then he said, oh, I've made some updates. So I think with this, like with this, I ordered it as soon as he got it, and it looks like this, like really tiny print. And it doesn't it's not great. So I redid it for him. I don't know if he's using my version or not, but I redid it for him. And then but anyway, so Churl is out. You can get it. I ordered myself at least one copy. If that doesn't change in the next couple of days, because it said originally it was supposed to be here today, but I don't know. So because I was hoping that I would actually get it. Yeah, I was hoping to get it today, but if it hasn't even shipped, I'm not going to get it till tomorrow or Monday. Maybe Sunday. But he did say, hey, I made some changes, so I might be buying myself another copy, depending on what this copy looks like. But I don't care, because I love the story. But yeah, so you have the original trilogy, and then you have what I call book 0. I always called it book 0 because that's kind of what the comic books, when you buy comic books and you have like a prequel. So it was called the 97th Step. And that's actually where that's kind of where I joined the universe, is I picked up this book, 97th Step. It had to do with martial arts. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. So I read it, and then it's like, oh, hey, by the way, here's 3 other books that this guy wrote in this universe. And so I picked those up and I read those, and I was like, wow, what an amazing story. And then after that, there was Albino Knife, which is basically continuing the story and the timeline. So really, after Machiavelli Interface, Albino Knife is the next story, and then there's Black Steel and Brother Death, are that, and then wait a few years, can't remember how long, Musashi Flex comes out, which is the beginning of the story. And he always talked about having a story of like the building of the siblings of the Shroud, how that really came to being. And but he as the author wanted to see it continue on with in the storyline, not delve in the past. So this is the last story, and it is the kids. It is the kids of the Matadors, or where we get to meet the kids. And so I'm really excited. He's been talking about this for years. He's been working on it kind of as a side project for years, and finally we get to see it. So once I get my copy, I'll probably finish whatever book I'm working on reading and start reading that. So, and then I will, I've actually started my nephew on, he's a big reader. And, so I gave him a copy of The Man Who Never Missed. So if he likes it, I've actually ordered some extra copies of Matadora and Machiavelli Interface from the internet. So we'll see when I get those. So looking forward to that, because I love having multiple copies of a book, because I have my copies, and then I have a copy that because like with my nephew, he's like, oh, well, I was like, oh, do you kind of likes that stuff? So I was like, I have a book I'd like you to read. So I just grab the book, give it to him. Like I have like now, just because I've been grabbing them for, to have them in my library, I have like 10 copies of Karate Do My Way Life, just to make sure that students have them. Because you can't get them on Amazon anymore. Like, and actually, let's go see. Let's see. It is. Yeah, it's on there, but it's like, you can buy it, but there's an audiobook credit, or there's an audiobook for it, but I don't know who did the audiobook for that, because I don't know if that's an official audiobook. But then but it's all used. I mean, you can't, I have not been able to find this. And even it says buy used starting at $12.25. So there's no new ones that you can buy. So I don't know if they've just stopped printing it or what, but like I've been grabbing them off of the Amazon, for like, $4 a pop. And they're all used. And it's kind of funny because my copy, do I have my copy here? My copy, the original copy that I got, and it's always kind of hard to see, it says first edition 1975, first paperback edition 1981. So I believe that mine is a first paperback edition. Okay. And here it actually says $3.95. Okay. Now I also have, and I bought this a while ago, a hardback edition. and I think this is also a first edition too, but first edition 1975. Okay. I don't know how much it costs because they cut off the price, which I freaking hate when they do that. But you do have a sticker down here that says 1600 yen. So, but anyway, so I have a hardbound and a southbound. These are my two original copies. And I remember as I've purchased the book over time, to either stock or give away or whatever, like I would buy them through Century Martial Arts or Asian World Martial Arts for really cheap. But it's funny because all the used ones that I get, like, I can kind of tell what grouping that they're in. So like on one, I think the oldest one that I have, is, it says it's like $6.50 or $6. And then I have some that are $7. And then I have some that are $8. And then I have some that are $9. So, I don't know. I find that kind of funny, but yeah, so it's just one of those things. All right. Well, my tea is, now officially empty. We're almost at an hour, and I've kind of run out of stuff to talk about. Not a lot of people have been on here today. Rob's been on here. There's 2 people watching. So, to whoever the other person who was watching, and hasn't said hi, well, that's okay. All right. Well, got new Q Show Corner episodes coming out. Just filmed those, so I got to edit those. But at least one of them will be edited enough to be able to put on the line for viewing tomorrow. Young, how are you, sir? And let's see. Yeah, that's about it. So we have a little conversation going on here. Hi, Young. All right. So let's see. Anything else that I need to say? Any wise words? Yeah, nothing for right now. So love to you all. If you're watching this not live and have not shared, subscribed, done all that really cool social media stuff, liked, hearted, yeah, do that now. And I will see you next week. Unless, of course, you watch another video of me at some point. But everyone stay safe and live long and prosper.